Hey guys, Dave here from Nerdarchy, for nerds by nerds, hanging out with the crew.
Hey, I'm Ryan.
Nate.
Today we are doing a GM 911 from Darth Gamer for Life.
For life.
So
What is it?
So basically, he's got a campaign going on. The session is going. His next session is in 2 weeks. He gave us the party composition, the current plot line, the location, but he doesn't know where to go next, and he doesn't know he doesn't have an overarching campaign story that he's working on.
So he's in a good place because the PCs can just take it wherever they want to take it.
Yeah, you know, honestly, like in part, like if you really want an overarching story, you can have one, but you don't really need to have one.
And it's got to just be the loosest sketch because the PCs could do something to radically alter that trajectory. And if you plan out a ton, they're just going to go off the rails. So why bother?
Why bother?
Yeah.
Yeah. So honestly, like, but if you want an overarching storyline that's going to appeal to your players, and I don't know how many sessions they've had already.
Yeah. It sounds like it's very new, and he's just kind of like winging it as he's going along.
Yeah, but he has had sessions.
Yeah, or at least a session. We don't know if there's beyond that.
Well, that's true. So the first thing first is if you went back to if you did a session 0, go back to your notes that you probably should have taken during session 0, and refer to those. If you don't have any, try and recall things from session 0 and make some notes. If you didn't have a session 0, then you have to go back to whatever sessions you have had and kind of write down just a general outline of what has happened so far.
Yeah, I kind of wish, so we have like character classes. I kind of wish we had character backgrounds as well to get like a little more of the tie into it too, because like have your characters or your players giving you any sort of background information on the characters that you can mine for whatever you're going to do for your plot arc.
The biggest mistake I see DMs make is trying to tell their story instead of trying to tell the player's story or the character stories. So far we know there's a Bard College of Valor, Rogue Assassin, Ranger Hunter, Oath of Vengeance Paladin, and Fiendish Pack Warlock. So it's a decent mix. There's a decent amount of tankiness, damageness, and support.
Well, and then you have the sort of plot hooks of both. You have a character that's a holy warrior, so he's like kind of directed by the hand of his god, and then you have the Fiendish Pack Warlock who's kind of directed by clawed talons of a demon somewhere.
Yeah.
Planes.
So right there, you have those two interests
to manipulate,
and that's with us just kind of like glancing at what's going on.
Yeah.
So from there, like I said, go back however many sessions you have, look at your notes. What NPCs were introduced, right? Make a list of them. If you can think of anything the players have expressed interest in, make a list of those.
I mean, so he did have a thing where apparently a villain, without giving too much away, a villain stole a holy artifact. So, well, you have a holy character in the party already, and if the character, or if the villain's trying to do something insidious with this holy artifact, I don't know, maybe some sort of ritual or whatever, like bringing a demon to the prime material plane or something like that. I think he's running in Forgotten Realms, but I'm not.
Yeah, Forgotten Realms.
Okay,
Waterdeep.
Yeah,
specific.
So maybe he's like trying to bring some like lower planar or even like a some sort of Cthulhian horror or something like that into the world. Well, maybe.
They're third level.
What's it? Oh, he's third level, but you run some sessions.
Care.
Yeah, Cthulhu don't care. But
Cthulhu don't care.
You're also too like
you're
trying to prevent this thing from happening. So if you stop it from happening, then that's not going to be a thing. Plus, it could be a longer arc, like a few levels of advancement, sort of thing. But anyway, I was going to say that like. The Fiend Pact, or the Fiend that the Warlock is in service to, doesn't want like rivals on the Prime, so he might be wanting to squash it or have his own designs for this holy relic or something like that. So that's a way to nudge things along as far as story goes.
You ninja'd me on the Warlock Fiendish Pack, but yeah, absolutely. Maybe the Warlock starts getting visions for what he needs to do with the holy artifact.
Because he's going to do something even worse. Yeah, like shove it up the paladin's ass.
Yeah, no, that's my trouble with using the Warlock's Pact too much to like make an antagonistic position for the Warlock to be stuck in. I mean, it's good, but it's also, I don't like to like force players' hands into that kind of situation. Like here, choose your character class or choose the party kind of thing. But it can make for really good.
Well, I feel
Really
like
good
they
RP.
kind of
If you-
open
if
themselves
you
up
chose
to
the warlock.
Yeah.
you're like, I'm going warlock, and I want to worship, or I want my patron to be a demon or devil. Then you know what?
Power's got a cost, you know. Like,
Yeah,
like,
there is
that's
that,
kind of
yeah.
the point of the whole class. Like, I get what you're saying, but like the player's agency happened when he chose his class, and he
This
knew.
is true, yeah.
And maybe this goes back to setting expectations in your game. If you're going to manipulate warlocks that way and say, look, you can be a warlock, but understand your power comes from someplace.
and like, there's carrots and sticks. You gotta scratch his back because otherwise you might not get
And
power.
it's the same with the cleric and the paladin. It just so
Yeah.
happens that they might have happier, nicer people to answer to.
Yeah. The Fey one is the only like kind of good patron out of all of it. So like that's the only pact you could take that not have.
They're at
horrible
least like morally
repercussions.
ambiguous.
Yeah.
So
So I'm coming from a different direction with this concept. I opened up the Dungeon Master's Guide to page 94, which is one of my favorite sections, next to the random generation
because
of NPCs.
he really likes the number 94.
It's
It's like a random thing.
Also on a little bit before that, like a couple pages before that, it's creating non-player characters. So this is the villain section. So I'm just like, you know what? That gnome guy, rather than make him a doppelganger or make him anything like that, make him really, he's a hireling. He's not like a main villain because I think if you want the guys to get the holy artifact anytime soon, instead of chasing this guy, I don't like the idea of like in the beginning this thing happens and then it's too novelized to me to say like this holy artifact got stolen and now for a year and a half you're gonna chase it. I don't like that way of doing things.
You could do it for like maybe 3 to 6 sessions. or
Yeah,
something
but
like
you
that.
got so if you catch the guy or you find the artifact, well, is the guy a 6th level villain or is the guy really too powerful for you guys to handle? So what I
Did you
say
catch
is,
the tiger by his tail? Is that what you're asking?
yeah, like what's the scenario? Or are you saying, well, this guy is like super powerful and you're gonna not find him for a really long time? So I like to have other people in the world that are affecting that guy's choices. So this gnome, I say, he's actually a hireling. He's a mage and he's got some power, but he's just a hireling. He knew how to. Maybe he's got ancient history lore or whatever to get into this area, or maybe he is in with the Thieves Guild. So they're the ones that actually stole it for him. He's got it now, but he is actually supposed to take it to somebody else. But he said, you know what? This is way too good. I think I'm going to burn the bridge with this powerful villain guy, and keep it for myself. And that's how you guys can get it back. Is because somebody that is not the ridiculously powerful villain at the end of a campaign arc, a big campaign arc, has decided to have it for himself rather than pass it off to the person that
I
actually.
like
hired
that
him.
because then they get it back. Then the powerful person or organization comes looking to take it back from them again.
Yeah, so you get, why are we getting mugged in the alley by these guys with eyes on their shoulder? You know, like
So
it gets you into that like more questions, more.
I like the whole idea of a
breadcrumbs.
thieves guild that specializes in holy relics.
yeah. Well, so I had another curveball idea.
This reminds me of that lich that likes to collect things.
Yeah. So
like his organization.
what if they're instead he's actually from some sort of special order that he actually stole it to protect it because there's another evil organization that actually is after it, and he did it to like hide it. Like he's
like,
actually
undercover?
he's actually a good guy, but the players don't know that. They're just opposing him because he stole this thing, and so it kind of puts good on good. But then it's like no, wait. There's actually somebody much worse than me that is coming for this.
And what if they even do and like finally confront him and he's like, no, I can't tell you why. Yeah, like there's some part for whatever reason he can't explain his actions.
It could be something like in the Dresden Files, how they had a certain organization that was killing off gods, like old gods, but you couldn't talk about it because that would actually spread the knowledge of the god. Like it was something kind of weird like that, like kind of a.
Or if there's like a deity of like secrets and like secret lore, like Gond or something like that.
Yeah, that something about a ritual that you could do with this item is really bad, but
I have no
you're not
idea
supposed to
what you're
spread.
talking about, and I think I've read everything about Dresden that's out there.
Well, I didn't make it up. Copyright. Oblivion or something like that is the name of the thing. Well, anyway, okay. I've derailed Dave, which is bad.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, it's something like a secret ritual or something like that, but he can't talk about it because it needs to be kept from the world.
Yeah.
So his secret organization doesn't spread the actual knowledge of it because of how terrible it is. So they're just like, we need to do this, we need to take this, and not let these people have it. But he can't tell you why he can't let this person have it, aside from he's going to do bad things with it.
Yeah.
So you got to believe this guy who's been marked as the known thief of this holy relic that you're chasing after. You have to believe him over when he's not trusting you, in a sense that he's not revealing secrets to you that he can't reveal. So it's kind of like this whole issue of you might actually just beat him up and take it.
Well, and then it could either be that where like they either take it from him and then they're then hunted by the
really bad people that he's talking about.
that are trying to get him, or it becomes like an escort mission where they have to get him to a place like a safe like a safe stronghold type of place for him. So it could be that.
And I want to throw it out there too. Like you said jokingly, I think, but in all seriousness, you don't really have to have an overarching campaign in your mind when you play this game. It's not necessary.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, it's a cool idea sometimes, but a lot of times I think what happens is you start cramming your story down the player's throat when you do that.
It's easy. No, what I'm talking about is when you have an overarching theme to what you're doing.
No, I'm going back to the original question that the viewer posed.
Oh, that he wanted to have a big campaign thought out.
Yeah, like, I don't have one. What should it be? Can you help me with
That's definitely a good thing to say. It's an important thing to say is you don't really need to. But what I'm saying is the good thing about at least having an idea of what's going on in your world that's major, that's like the people that would be driving plots, is that you can put little tiny pieces of information out. Like, why is there more goblins in the mountains? Why is trade ending in one area? Why aren't there any more magic items being shipped, like from this major metropolis that makes them? Those kind of things are like, well, we're not even going to think about looking at that right now because we're over like 100 miles away or something, or we're like really in depth in doing, we're in the sewers in some place looking for a holy artifact. We're not going to go do that right now. But pieces of information like that create like that kind of like story mosaic.
Well,
so like
there is a certain
quilted, the quilting of the
plot
of the story,
plot threads and weaves and all that.
Yeah, so that it doesn't seem like you're just like, all right, we did one module and now on to the next and on to the next.
Well, there is the danger of like like Link, where like in Ocarina of Time maybe, where like basically there's all these side games or mini games within it that like he's supposed to be off rescuing the princess, but he keeps stopping to go fishing or collect this or that, like all this. So like sometimes you could like give your players ADD and like they don't focus on the main thing because of like glom onto these like minor tributaries.
Yeah.
They like you're like, yeah, they could do this eventually, but for some reason they get obsessed with it and just want to do that thing.
Well,
and like
you can make the minor thing that's important to them the main thing.
Yeah. Well, except for if it's like a world altering, like say they don't pursue this artifact and it's going to do something really bad, have the really bad thing happen, because I mean the world moves on without your players.
Yeah, you can absolutely do
that.
Yeah. So,
but it absolutely should happen.
So Kalimport blows up and it's a gaping hole now.
Yeah.
And infested with Cthulhu things.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't that great a place anyway.
Tentacles are coming out.
It's actually a step up.
It's an improvement.
The Kraken in the area came to have tea and smash a few buildings down.
Yeah.
He wasn't smashing buildings down. He was just sitting down.
Yeah.
So Kraken's having tea.
Well,
there it is. There's your campaign art.
It's blood tea.
They have like they could have lots of little cups like on their tentacles.
They smash people around and then dunk them.
The question is though, how does a Kraken put up its pinky?
He really can't. He's got to get like a
special cup,
a prosthetic.
Yeah,
pinky.
Prosthetic pinky.
Yeah,
yes.
to raise.
Erythral.
Yeah, erythral. Yeah, it's good.
So I think pretty much that's the way to go. Just don't worry about the overarching story in the beginning. You don't have to. Maybe it'll just appear in your game. Yeah. Or if you really feel like you need one, but there's nothing there, just wait. Just keep taking notes as you go on. Important NPCs. Maybe the players put out these ideas and they have a theory on something that you weren't even thinking about.
And then make that happen, and they'll feel rewarded, like for basically you taking the thing that they came up with. They're like, I knew it all along. Like, yeah, you totally did. Totally did.
Yeah. Thanks for connecting those things together that were unconnected before.
Yeah.
Now they're going to be.
Also, too, like if your characters don't have any sort of background, like a rogue assassin. Like, why is he an assassin? Has he killed anybody for money before? You know, like, is he that kind of assassin?
Is he really an assassin, or do they just have
or he's just
those mechanics?
Or he's just so skilled at slaying someone in one shot.
Like I've considered making like sniper characters and building them off of an assassin build, but they're not really assassins. They're just really good at a certain thing.
I mean, I just feel like you need questions answered about these characters' backgrounds, and if they haven't given you any backstory stuff to work in, that's going to leave pretty big holes in what you're going to be able to do in the campaign, because it's not going to feel connected to your players because your players have given you nothing to connect off of.
Well, that goes back to, in order to answer this question, you need to ask a bunch of more questions, right? And we don't actually have access to that information. You have an Oath of Vengeance paladin. Why?
And what deity? What deity is he? What background? Yeah.
I feel something serious has to go wrong in your life for you to all of a sudden swear vengeance on everything.
And what leads somebody into a pact with a fiend? You know, like that's another thing. So
you're talking about, we didn't get enough information on the backgrounds to really draw them into any plot.
Into the story. You want to involve those backstories.
Have to be his job,
you want to involve those backstories.
So Session Zero, the video we did on Session Zero would be a good thing to watch with this as well.
Yes.
Kind of like for drawing the players back in.
Well, yeah, but if you haven't done a Session Zero, it's too late. So now because you didn't want to waste the time, but now you're racking your brain.
Well, it's like retconning.
Asking us this question.
Well, it doesn't have a major plot
we can't
anyway.
actually answer.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, it's never really too late. Like, hey, tell me stuff about your character. Tell me like 5 things about like your character's background. And like, just because it's never been said, it's not really retconning. It just hasn't been fleshed out.
Yeah.
So when you're reading a novel, they don't tell you all this stuff about the character. You find out about it as the story progresses. Well, like, they need to find some stuff, and you need to find some stuff out about their characters to better, like, that assassin. Is he part of a guild? That's if this gnome that's stole the artifact, is this rogue assassin part of a guild that's going to be in competition or have an alliance with that guild or something like that? So is there like some possibilities of shady dealings going on with it because they're a rogue? So.
Yeah, I actually didn't get through on my spiel on the using the Dungeon Master's Guide, but
we want to pick back up on that.
Okay. So I've got this villain scheme. I was rolling dice at the beginning to get through all this, so I just randomly rolled to see what kind of major villain you're going to have, and I was like, well, I like to do like the yes and no. Like when I roll a result, do I want to keep it? If yes, then I'll keep it and move on to the next thing. If no, I'm like, well, then I made a choice. I don't want it to be that particular thing. So I rolled immortality for the villainous scheme thing, and I was like, well, I already have an immortal villain. I didn't want to like just stick my game onto his. So I was like, then I rolled again. I rolled an 8. So I rolled, wealth, and then steal land, goods, or money. I was like, all right, this is coming along right. This goes in line with like the gnome artifact stealer guy, the holy relic guy. So then I rolled d20 to see what I'm gonna get, and I got theft of property or crime. All right, that's his method for villainy. This is going along really well, and then I rolled him like mugging. I don't think he's going around punching people, taking their stuff. So I rolled again, and I got seizing property. I was like, all right, so this guy could be Waterdeep. This guy could be a landowner who maybe buys stuff out of the slums or kicks people out of places he purchases, or kind of like that churning over of land and development type person. So this could be a major player within the city that is trying to accrue these things, and that's why he has networks of different thieves and groups and this gnome that he's in contact with, and he's trying to gather all these things together for his own. Maybe he just likes to display them. Maybe he has some kind of weird ritual he wants to do. Depending on the level and how, like, what you want to make the end. Do you want to make the end figuring out who this guy actually is, or do you want to make the ending be that you fight a demon that's coming through a gate or something? So like it's kind of what you want to make the ending, kind of what you think the ending will be. I mean, players could totally screw everything up, which they probably will for what you're planning, but that's kind of part of the thing is your villain's got a goal, and he's railroading himself, and he's going to try and railroad everybody else in the area to go with him. So the players are there to derail his plans, his machinations, if you set them up for pure conflict. So this gnome, like I was saying, I think he should be a minor player that decides to keep the artifact instead, or part of that secret society. I like that. I think that secret society thing. So he was playing along and then wanted to go and take that artifact to where he wanted to go. But you find out that people are still trying to get that back, or like they get, if they decide to help him, well then they get accosted by these guys that are actually hirelings from this higher up property owner that's trying to seize wealth and power. And maybe he's a noble or political figure, or he's an up-and-coming guy that just wants to amass wealth so that he can buy a title. So there's all these kind of, and it could be something as petty as trying to buy a noble title.
Yeah. So,
like it doesn't have to be some kind of grand, crazy scheme of opening up a gate. Although I do like that one as well.
So I mean, if you want to go kind of grandiose, like we did that video on that Lich Collector guy.
Yeah.
What if this artifact is something he just wants for his collection, and this gnome's an agent for that? So there's another video that referencing that a lich that just tries to accrue magical items and this and that. So you just like.
So that was just my suggestion. I just wanted to say I just used the DMG. I was like, oh, I'm stuck on, because I didn't know what I wanted to do for this guy.
Yeah.
So I was just like, I'm just gonna let the DMG decide, and it did in a way, and it didn't, because I actually eliminated some of the choices that I rolled, because I'm not stuck with going with them, but it got my mind going on.
Oh no,
I
the
actually
dice
wanted
said
to do.
you gotta take that.
Yeah.
The dice informed me on whether or not I liked the choice that it made.
Right.
So I in the end made the choice of whether or not to go with it, but the things I eliminated, it was good that I eliminated them because it was like weird story wise. But as soon as I saw something that went really well with what I was kind of thinking but wasn't saying out loud or didn't write down, then I had like an avenue to go, and it kind of like set me off. So that's a way to get around writer's block for campaigning, is just look at the charts in the DMG, look at the charts in the player's handbook, like, oh, my background for my character, what's this ideal? Just roll it, and if you don't like it, say, no, I don't like it, I'm going to do something else.
Or just blatantly
roll,
pick it.
Yeah, pick it, roll until you figure out what you like and don't like, or just say like, well, none of these choices are good, I'm going to eventually think of something, kind of thing. So I see that as it's a tool for not telling you what you're going to do, but helping you decide. Because when you roll it, if you say, well, I'm going to keep it, if you say you're not going to keep it, you've already made a choice towards what your character's not going to do or what your villain's not going to do. So you're like one step closer. Well, he's not going to be immortal and steal the creatures to eat or whatever, or like drink their blood. All right, great. So I know he's not a vampire. Great. I can just cross that off my list of things that. So eventually, like, whittle it down to what you're actually going to have happen, or what you're going to try and have happen, that the players are going to try and screw up.
Or maybe he is a vampire.
Which is what their job is against the villain, Or maybe he is a vampire.
Well, and that relic could be part of a ritual to undo his vampirism.
Yeah, so it could be something. That could be something really good.
We're missing like a really important piece of information too. If Darth Gamer for Life really wanted us to flesh this out, and that is, what is the player's motivation for regaining this artifact? We don't know, because it was from the Paladin's Order, because they were hired, because they all worship the same god.
What's the carrot? What's the incentive for them to do this?
Like that would inform us on a lot of information too, and it'll inform you if you go back and think about what is their motivation for doing it. If it's because they got paid, well, who paid them? What's their motivation?
What could have been a cool thing for this whole? I'm thinking about the party composition. Like, what if they were all kind of from the same church or holy order, but like the warlock one is kind of fallen off the path, but everybody else is like on the up and up. Like the rogue's a holy assassin. You have a paladin being the obvious choice. Bard of Valor would be like, somebody that's like, he kind of keeps the lore of the church, but also like, is okay with using the sword.
Right, that would all have been great in the very beginning.
In the session zero.
But we have no idea if that's the case or not.
Yeah.
So, let's leave this off with the biggest thing you can do is actually look at all the information you have and start trying to weave plots out of that and subplots. And the more of those plots from the individual players that you can weave together, the stronger storyline you're going to create, and you will not ever have to worry about your players taking the hook.
They will be bought into the game that they helped create.
Yes. So if there's not a session zero, go back and do one, or just get it. Or if you have the ability to get with each of your players and find out more about their character, their backstory, what their goals are, what they want to do. And then you can, start weaving it back in, and maybe you can tie the gnome to several of those stories. Yeah. And that'll give you cohesion moving forward.
Yeah. Have some dinner. If you're over 21, have some beers and have a discussion over this, and just work things out.
So in the comments below, you guys can let us know what you think. Weigh in if you have any advice for Darth Gamer for Life. While you're at it, like, subscribe, and even share.
You can check us out over on nerdarchy.com.
You also join the conversation over on Reddit.
So until next time, stay nerdy.